Most people will die having never met themselves. They'll spend their entire lives wearing a mask so convincing, they'll forget there's a face underneath. But what I'm about to reveal is the only path that leads home, and it begins the moment you stop running from your own shadow. Before we dive in, it is crucial that you watch this entire video from start to finish. Do not skip around or jump to different parts because each concept builds on the previous one. If you want to save time, watch at 1.5 or 2 times speed instead of skipping sections. Missing even one part could mean missing the exact revelation you need to recognize in your own situation right now. Now, let me tell you something that might sound almost too perfect to be true, but I promise you it is happening all around us every single day. Carl Jung called it individuation. Not self-improvement, not success, not happiness, but the slow, terrifying, necessary process of becoming who you actually are beneath every story your parents told you, beneath every role society assigned you, beneath every fear that's been calcified into your personality. This is the hidden law operating in every moment of genuine transformation. And most people never even know it exists. The 3 pillars of individuation. Pillar 1, the destruction of the false self. Before you can become who you truly are, you must first understand who you are not. And this is where the journey begins. In a place of profound disillusionment, you were given a role before you could even speak. Maybe you were the strong one so your family wouldn't fall apart under the weight of chaos. Maybe you were the smart one so your parents could feel vindicated in their sacrifices. Maybe you were the easy one because the household needed someone predictable, someone who wouldn't add to noise. This persona, this mask, it kept you alive. It got you through childhood. It earned you the approval you desperately needed just to survive. But here's the truth Jung spent decades uncovering. The persona is a beautiful prison. It's beautiful because it works. It protects you. It gets you what you need. But it's a prison because it keeps you locked away from yourself. Most people spend their entire lives perfecting this mask, believing that if they just polish it enough, if they just achieve enough through it, they'll finally feel real. They climb the ladder. They get the promotion. They build the family. They accumulate the credentials. And then, standing at the top of everything they were supposed to want, they feel an unbearable emptiness. Because the persona can never feel real. It was never meant to. It's a costume. It's a role. It's a survival mechanism dressed up as an identity. The first crack appears when you begin to feel a deep inauthenticity. Not depression exactly, though that often comes too, but a creeping, undeniable sense that you're living someone else's life. A nagging feeling that you're an imposter in your own existence. You look at your accomplishments and feel hollow. You look at your reflection and barely recognize the person staring back. The persona has become so convincing that you've forgotten there's anyone home inside it. But something in you knows. Something knows that this isn't all there is, and that knowing is the beginning of the end of the lie you've been living. Pillar 2, the descent into your own darkness. Real transformation requires real descent. You cannot become who you truly are without first meeting who you truly are not, the disowned parts of yourself that have been running your life from the unconscious. Jung called this the shadow. And here's what most people get wrong. The shadow isn't evil. It's not what you need to destroy or transcend or rise above. It's what you've abandoned. It's the parts of yourself that the world couldn't accept, so you learn to reject them too. Maybe it's your anger. That raw, righteous fury that your family taught you was ugly or unladylike or aggressive. So you learn to smile instead, to accommodate, to shrink. And now your anger runs your relationships from the basement, making you passive-aggressive, making you explode unexpectedly, making you attract people who finally give you permission to be angry through their own rage. Maybe it's your ambition. Your parents taught you that wanting things was selfish, so you learned to be humble, to diminish yourself, to celebrate everyone else's success while your own dreams atrophied in silence. And now, your ambition sabotages you from the shadows, making you self-destruct just as you're about to succeed, making you resent the people around you for living the lives you've forbidden yourself to live. Maybe it's your sexuality, your vulnerability, your neediness, your wildness, your hunger for life itself. Whatever you decided was too much or not enough, your psyche didn't delete it. It stored it. It preserved it. And now it's orchestrating your life from the unconscious. This is why crisis comes. Not as punishment, not as random cruelty from the universe, but as invitation. Your deeper self, yourself as Jung called it, is saying, you've ignored this long enough. Time to integrate it. Time to make peace with the parts of yourself you've been running from. The person who triggers you most intensely, they're mirroring your shadow. The quality you hate most in others, it lives in you, disowned and desperate for acknowledgement. The crisis that shatters your world, it's your shadow finally loud enough that you can't ignore it anymore. But here's what most people don't understand. This crisis is a mercy. It's an intervention from your own soul. And when you stop resisting it and start descending into your own darkness, everything changes. The dissolution is painful. Yes, it feels like dying because part of you is. The false self is dying. But on the other side of that death is something you've never known, genuine wholeness. Pillar 3, the integration and rebirth into authenticity. This is where the real miracle happens, not in transcendence, not in becoming above your humanity, but in becoming fully authentically human. Integration doesn't mean the shadow disappears. It means you stop being run by it. Your anger doesn't vanish. You learn to use it. It becomes your boundary. It becomes your power. Your fear doesn't evaporate. You understand it. It becomes your wisdom. Your neediness doesn't transform into spiritual independence. It becomes authentic connection. You don't become a better version of yourself. You become yourself in all its complexity, contradiction, and depth. You become someone who can be ambitious and humble, soft and strong, vulnerable and powerful, alone and connected. This is not enlightenment. This is maturity. This is adulthood in the truest sense. This is also when your relationships transform completely. The relationships built on mutual delusion fall away. The people who loved your mask suddenly aren't there. And at first, this feels like loss. It is loss, but it's also liberation. New relationships form with people who can see you and accept you, not because they think you're perfect, but because they're also on their own path toward wholeness. But here's what's crucial to understand. Individuation doesn't have a finish line. Each decade of your life will bring new deaths, new shadows, new invitations to become more genuinely yourself. At 25, you shed your parents' expectations. At 35, you shed your career ambitions you realize were never yours. At 50, you shed your identity as young. At 70, you shed your identity as productive. Each cycle is a new spiral upward, not a circle repeating the same lessons. This is why Jung was obsessed with mythology, alchemy, and cyclical time. Because he understood that becoming who you are isn't a project to complete. It's a calling that unfolds across your entire life. Every crisis, every breakdown, every moment you feel like an imposter is actually the self trying to pull you closer to your own wholeness. The universe doesn't ask you once if you're willing to individuate. It asks you again and again, in different forms, in different relationships, in different circumstances, and each time you have a choice: resist and remain asleep or surrender and wake up. Most people cycle between these choices their entire lives. But if you're watching this, something in you is ready to stop cycling and start spiraling upward. If this landed for you, if you felt that recognition of your own unlived life, your own shadow calling, your own readiness to stop pretending, then comment below. I choose the path. not as ritual, but as a witness to yourself. Write it, say it, let it be real, and subscribe, because what you're about to discover is that you're not alone in this. Thousands of people are waking up to the same truth. They're meeting their shadows. They're grieving their personas. They're integrating the parts of themselves they've been running from. And they're finally coming home to themselves. You're part of that movement now. Individuation is not self-help. It's self-discovery. And here's what Jung knew that the world forgot. You are not here to be happy. You are here to be whole. Happiness is what the persona chases. It's a feeling state, something dependent on external circumstances. Wholeness is what the self knows. It's not dependent on anything. It's the ground of your being. The person you've been trying to become your entire life was already inside you, buried beneath conditioning, hidden beneath trauma, waiting beneath every fear. And the only way to meet them is to stop running from everything you've been trying to escape. The unconscious doesn't punish you for ignoring it. It simply loves you so much that it won't let you rest until you know yourself. That's not cruelty. That's grace. Your individuation is already underway. You can feel it. That's why you're here. You just have to stop resisting it. You just have to choose the path. And everything begins to change. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and turn on notification after subscribing so you can be notified when the new video drops.